All right, welcome back to another episode of IDP Plus Rankings. My name is Nathan. I'm joined with Johnny and Brandon. And this episode, we are going to talk about the tight end tiers by Joseph Harlow that we published on idpplus.com. Real quick, before we get into the content, let's talk to our co-hosts. Johnny, where can people find you and what kind of content do you put out?
So you can find me on Johnny freaking F1 on Twitter. I've been doing a lot of retweeting, a lot of good content that comes from the IDP Plus team right now. I'm not so much writing. I'm on the back burner of writing, but I'm doing a lot of podcasts. So if I'm not on a podcast, you can find my retweets of the great IDP Plus team. But I'm as well as the IDP Plus rankings show here. I am doing the IDP Plus trends show with my co-host Average Joe's Fantasy Football. So if you haven't, check that out. Give me a follow. More content to come. We're pumping out a lot of content in this offseason, a lot of free agent news. So that trend shows covers a lot of news that happens, whether it be free agent signings and what that means for prospective players' fantasy value. So check out that channel if you haven't already.
Gotcha. Brandon, what about you? Where can people find you? What kind of content you put out?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Tune in at Brandon Lee TV on all social media platforms and on YouTube, covering everything from pro football and the fantasy rankings to this madness we're in right now in March. So definitely tune in and get a fresh perspective on all things sports.
Awesome. So the content we're going to be talking about is the culmination of a series that we've been doing, which is we've been going through the IDP Plus articles on top 12 rankings, and then we got into tier rankings, and so we did positional all the way up to tight end. So make sure and go back through our catalog and catch all of those other videos to get whatever position you want information on. This week is the tight end tiers, but also go to idpplus.com, become a subscriber, and get access to our rankings, to our tools, to all of the great content that we put out, but also get into the Discord and be able to talk directly to us 24/7 pretty much. We have a great community there, and for $1 for the first month, you can use the promo code mock draft and get a monthly subscription starting off at $1 and get all of that access on the website. So go to idpplus.com and subscribe. With that, let's get into our tier 1 tight ends. So for our audio listeners, number 1, TJ Hawkinson, Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta, Kyle Pitts, Dalton Kincaid, Trey McBride, Mark Andrews, David Njoku, George Kittle, Evan Ingram, Jake Ferguson, and at 12, Luke Musgrave. So Johnny, elephant in the room here, Travis Kelce in the top 3. Joe Harlow said it's based on drafting to win now, getting a win now tight end. Where would you value Kelce now, considering he probably isn't retiring this year anymore? His brother just retired. You would probably figure if they were going to retire together, they would have done that at the same time or had some indication. Do you still see Travis Kelce in the top 3, or are you moving him around?
I'll tell you what, I think he's in the top 5 still. I would take Hawkinson. I would take Laporta. I would take McBride, Andrews, and maybe even Kincaid. So maybe that pushes him down to 6. I understand the whole win now mentality. I do think that he can come back and have another solid year. To me, this year he had was solid. It wasn't great. It wasn't the Travis Kelce of old. But if he can, a lot of people are saying he had a down year. If he can even, come back and do a little bit better, we're satisfied with that. But, when we're talking about dynasty, I don't think anything more than 1 year is guaranteed. So with that being said, yeah, I am moving him down, probably pivoting to about 5 or 6 with him.
Gotcha. What are your thoughts, Brandon? Do you still like Travis Kelce as a top name, or are you repositioning him in this group?
Yeah, definitely repositioning. And yeah, like Johnny said, man, something he touched on was like people did say it was a down year for Kelsey, and a down year for him is still 984 yards and 4 tutties. So if you can get that, then yeah, you keep him in the top 5. But I'm looking at guys for like Trey McBride, who had over 800 yards to ramp up his production. I'm looking at Dalton Kincaid in that situation in Buffalo. I'm up in the upstate Western New York area, and there's Bills country up here. So there's been a lot of talk on what Stephon Diggs is gonna do in that contract, and if they move on from him, and if they do decide to move on from him, that's gonna be a whole lot of targets that I think will be coming Kincaid's way. And then I look at a guy like Mark Andrews, who I may even put above Travis Kelce right now. If he can stay healthy over the next full season, I mean, most of these lists probably had Andrews at number 2 last year at the start of the season behind Kelsey. So he's definitely a guy who's, still 26, 27 years old, who I think could, get right back in that top tier as well.
Gotcha. Speaking of moving things around on this list, and to you, Johnny, there's a lot of talk of Sam Laporta, and Lions fan here, very happy to see this taking over as the new Dynasty tight end 1. Here he's 3 with TJ Hawkinson at 1. Give me a little insight. What are your thoughts between Hawkinson and Laporta, and which one would you personally have over the other?
So, one thing about both of these guys is they had a common denominator, and that was playing in Detroit, right? So when Hawkinson was in Detroit, he was Goff's go-to guy, really good volume receiver there. So yeah, I mean, once Laporta came in, it was kind of an easy, not to say that it was easy pick to see what he was going to do this year. That was insane. But at the same time, yeah, I figured he was going to kind of pick up where Hawkinson left off, and it was a good spot. The the tight end position is valued in Detroit. Goff uses the tight end position a lot, and because of the youth, because of the prospect that he was, I do see a very good case. He's probably my number 1 tight end, and that's in part to age, and in part to if he did this as a rookie, what's the next year going to be? Of course, these young guys that come in, Puka himself, they're going to get an extra attention next year, right? So they're not slept on anymore. Me personally, one thing, a caveat I will say about this position, if you're doing a dynasty startup, the price you have to pay on these guys is really high. And I do think Sam Laporta is worth it. And if you're getting him at number 3, I think he's even more worth it. But at the same time, we're going to talk about guys on the next list, 13 through 24, guys even later than that because of free agency, because of how things have shaken up over the last couple of days, that I'll put more of a vote of confidence in because of the lesser price tag you have to pay. But at the same time, yeah, Sam Laporta's in a great spot. He's young. They don't have, they spread the ball around there, but it's not like they have 5 receivers who they throw to. It's really Amon-Ra St. Brown, a little bit of like a Josh Reynolds, and boom, Laporta. So yeah, I could see the case for him to be made number 1. Absolutely.
Gotcha. And so, Brandon, are you in agreement with that? If all things are kind of equal, that the age of Laporta really gives him the edge over Hawkinson, or would you flip the script and say Hawkinson is the number 1?
I think all things considered, I would have Hawkinson at number 1. The thing that worries me though, in that Sam Laporta, not only does he have age on his side, but he also has stability right now. So we are not 100% sure what the Vikings are going to do with Kirk Cousins. There has not been an extension announcement. I've been hearing a lot of rumors of him going to Atlanta, which would boost Kyle Pitts, in my opinion, on this list. Hawkinson gets a lot of targets. I think Laporta's targets will go up. If whoever's going to be the quarterback, if they're going to target him 120 plus times like he's been getting, then yeah, I'm comfortable with Hawkinson. But right now, we don't know who's going to be throwing him the football. So for that point alone, I think it kind of is the deciding factor for me between him and Laporta.
Gotcha.
And if I want to add one more thing, if you don't mind, Hawkinson, he tore that ACL. Who knows exactly when he's coming back? I don't
That's
expect
true.
him to be there week 1. So, if that doesn't deter you, if you're looking at the long term and you still, believe in Hawkinson, rightfully so, but he will be coming off a knee injury. and may not be available at the beginning of the season with whatever quarterback is there. So that's my biggest knock on Hawkinson.
No, he took a nasty hit too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you know what is the clear number one for fantasy football events, and that is the Fantasy Football Expo happening in August of this year, but 9th through 13th, and in Canton, Ohio. You know, if you're listening to this and you are a big fan of fantasy football, want to be part of the community and get to meet some of the industry people like the IDP Plus crew, all the way up to the big names at Fantasy Alarm, Football Guys. There is a ton of fantasy creators that go, and we flock to Canton every August right after that Hall of Fame game, and you can go to thefantasyfootballexpo.com, get your ticket, get your chance to go and meet all of these great people in the community and interact and ask your questions directly, as well as come to our booth in the VIP section for the IDP Plus, and come talk to us, and also be a attendee at the Draft Night Out event. Johnny, you're set to come to your first Fantasy Football Expo. What's your thoughts? Are you thinking of doing some of these other events like the Draft Night Out? They have a flag football tournament, as well as I am. Well, I won't say I'm reigning beer pong champion, but we did come in second place, Matt Record and I. Are you interested in getting into some of these other games?
Hold up, you said beer pong? Yeah, that's all I'm thinking about now. But no, absolutely. If I'm coming, man, I'm all gears in. I'm not gonna show up and stay in the hotel or not take advantage. I'm gonna soak it all up. So absolutely, anything I can do, as far as networking, as far as building content, having ideas, throwing ideas around there, and talking rankings, talking strategies. I'm always learning, and I'm always looking to give best information I can. So. But beer pong trumps it all, man. I'm going to give you a run for your money this year. I'm a 4-year, college player myself. So as far as beer pong, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be a great time. And I'm looking forward to checking all the lists, checking all the boxes off.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was run by one of our great sponsors, Trophy Smack. Awesome event and part of one of the parties that goes on during that. Now, Brandon, I know you have said that you've got a couple other things going on that month, but what's are you considering coming to Canton, being part of the crew and seeing this event and what's going on?
Absolutely under consideration. I know I'll be getting back from Chicago, I believe on the 7th or the 8th. So it'll definitely be a quick turnaround. But yeah, if I'm able to make it, I absolutely would love to get out there. I mentioned, before our last couple of shows, a couple weeks back, I went to Cooperstown, saw the MLB Hall of Fame. So next up, the NFL Hall of Fame, I would love to just cross that off my list as well. And hey, man, I'm always down for some beer pong.
There it is. So if you're interested, go to thefantasyfootballexpo.com. You'll get all of the information for the event, the other events going on during that time. And yeah, Pro Football Hall of Fame, if you haven't gone to it, is a great experience that you can spend multiple days, multiple years of trips going to. I know I've been to it a few times, and it's always amazing, and just solidifies that love of football that I have and love of history. So with that, let's talk some more tight ends. We're into tier 2 now, and with that, for our audio listeners, at number 13 we've got Michael Mayer, Isaiah Likely, Cade Otton, Cole Kmet, Dallas Goddard, Pat Fryermuth, Greg Dulcich, Chigoziem Okonkwo, Jawan
That's right.
Johnson, Darren Waller, Tucker Kraft, Danielle Bellinger. Hey, I do my best with these names, and hopefully sometimes we get I get them correct. But looking to you, Brandon, here, Cole Kmet finished top 8 for the 2023 and 2022 season. Does the potential drafting of a new quarterback in Chicago drive his value down?
I think he will get nicked a little bit for that, but man, I love Cole Kmet because he produces and he's so low maintenance, man. He just makes the most of all his opportunities. There were some flash in the pan games last season, but towards like the middle to the end, he really got his rhythm, and I think the offense was playing a little bit more consistently. But he's like that safety blanket, man. He always finds those little pockets in the defense to get open. And I think he's just reliable. He's still young. He's got a contract extension there. So, you've got that stability. And I mean, it's either going to be Justin Fields or Caleb Williams that's going to be throwing this guy the football. So either way, I think you're in pretty safe hands.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on Cole Kmet, Johnny? With the talk of it still being the current quarterback or going to Caleb Williams with that number 1 pick.
I love it. I mean, I don't see much nicks, in his frame. I think he's somebody who you can make a case for him to be top 12, top 10 even. Cole Kmet is a serious factor. I mean, he had a 10 catch game, a 7 catch game, and high volume. To me, it's they don't have, besides DJ Moore, really not much to throw the ball around to. So I really like Cole Kmet. Hopefully he stays healthy another year. He's somebody that's just been overlooked, like you said, 22 overlooked coming into this year, overlooked, and I'm not going to let it happen again. And earlier I had mentioned about that battle you had to take. It is tough, like Kelsey, Hawkinson, Laporta. It could be any one of those guys who rises, right? So don't put yourself in that mess. There's guys here, Cole Kmet himself, another young guy, Cade Otton, I really like. Michael Mayer is probably my biggest vote of confidence in this group. I really like Michael Mayer at 22 years old. He was somebody who was maybe a top 5 or 8, and when we're talking about dynasty startup, 5 or 8 tight end, and he kind of fell this year. I say pounce on an opportunity because he's still young, 22 years old. It was his first year. And look, a lot of these guys, we talk about Laporta, Kincaid coming out and on fire as a rookie. We didn't see that to this point. So as much as this year, to me, it might be that the rookie tight ends can ball now, and that's a thing of the past. But I'm not willing to really invest in that. I'm going to lay low on the tight end position and take guys like Kmet, like Michael Mayer, even Dallas Goedert. You know what you're going to get by the season's end, right? He might be a little volatile week to week, but you'll know what you're going to get. And also Daniel Bellinger. Let's see what happens with Darren Waller. Is he going to retire? Because even when Darren Waller, before he came to New York, Daniel Bellinger had a nice rookie year. So I'm really looking for the, for the attention to the pedestal to elevate for Daniel Bellinger and get that starting opportunity. And Tucker Kraft, also at 23, is somebody that, might not be a sexy pick right now because they have Musgrave, and that might muddle the both of their value. But either one of these guys, man, if the other one gets traded, if something happens, an injury, that just makes whether it be Tucker Kraft or Musgrave, whatever's the last man standing, it makes them that more significant. So I really like those both rookies this past year. I think they have a high ceiling, moving forward. And we're talking about dynasty. You don't have to pick Tucker Kraft as your number 1 tight end. I'm not saying that, but if you can get a Cole Kmet and then get a Tucker Kraft, to me that's a great circle of youth. You have youth in those guys. You have your starter. You have, if an injury happens, bye week, you got Tucker Kraft. So I think there's many players on this list, young guys that I'm targeting in startups and dynasty, making trades for in dynasty, that I think don't fight that battle of who's going to be the top tight end, or if you're in a startup, don't pay that price tag. Get guys in this group right here.
Gotcha. Jumping over to you, Brandon, who are some of, I know Johnny kind of covered a lot of them, but who are you seeing as great value picks in this tier range?
For one, Dallas Goedert, he's my dynasty tight end. He was injured this past year. The year before, though, he was incredible. He was a top 5 tight end, like regardless of who you ask. So I think, with a healthy season, if he can stay healthy, they're welcoming Kellen Moore in there. You may see a little bit more play action in that Eagles offense, which, leads to openings for the tight end. he doesn't have much competition for reps as far as, other tight ends on the roster either. So his spot is solidified. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to shoot up this list by season end. I'm expecting, a really bounce back season for him after the forearm injury. Isaiah Likely is another guy I really like, just probably the biggest specimen. Like, he's just a dude out there, man. He's really fast, agile, physical, can really go up and get the football. We saw him really come on when the Ravens had their run, and it seems like he's really earned the trust of Lamar Jackson. He was one person that benefited from Mark Andrews being out, and I think him having to step up really accelerated his role. And I think the Ravens are the perfect team to, run a 2 tight end set where both these guys can get you enough to, get by during the week. And like, for dynasty perspective, Likely's a guy you could, get as your backup, sit for a couple years, and hey, he's going to be the man in Baltimore in, 2 to 3 to 4 years. So I like him. A guy that I probably would maybe stay away from is Jawan Johnson, just recently getting cut. Not really sure what his situation is going to be. He was another guy that was really volatile, but if you needed somebody, he was typically available on the waiver wire. But yeah, that honestly, I really like Likely. I really like Goddard off this list.
Nice. There we go. So let's look at our final tier 3. And starting at 25, we have Dawson Knox, Logan Thomas, Dalton Schultz, Hunter Henry, Tyler Conklin, Gerald Everett, Noah Fant, Zach Ertz, Hayden Hurst, Tyler Higbee at 34. We got Taysom Hill on this list at 35, and then wrapping it up at 36, Donald Parham. We're gonna start with you, Brandon, on this one. Hunter Henry missed a few games but finished top 20 for the season. He's being brought back by the Patriots. Could he be a potential value player for 2024?
I think so, man. We know it's no secret that the Patriots are going quarterback in the first round, and having a reliable target like Henry, a big tight end that, came into the NFL with a lot of high expectations, has had some up and down years, but overall he's reliable, especially when he's available on the field. He was one of the bright spots along with Ramondre Stevenson on that Patriots defense or offense, excuse me. I think he's reliable, and he's still, got a lot of tread on the tires. I think he'll be in a situation where they don't really have a bona fide number one receiver right now. So Henry has a chance to be that guy realistically. They get a little bit more talent at the quarterback position. I was really never a fan of Mac, to be honest. I kind of foresaw this happening. But if they get a guy like Drake May or Jaden Daniels in there that will be able to get the football to Hunter Henry, I think he'd be a really great value pick, because he's going to be one of those tight ends that's probably going to be there after everybody's got their tight ends. And I would also mention Noah Fant in that conversation with him as well. Just a guy that, will be there, that has some upside still, that will have those games that, if your main guys on a bye week, they can give you a game or two.
Gotcha. There we go. Johnny, Hunter Henry, is he on your list here for value picks? And who else is on that list in the tier 3 area?
Yeah, it's kind of getting slim pickings down here, but I definitely would give a vote of confidence to Hunter Henry at 28. Being at 28, he's only 29 years old. Coming off a knee injury, he finally got healthy this year, had a couple big games, and that's my caveat with Hunter Henry is you're going to have peaks and valleys. Granted, second year on the team might do him well. I'm not worried about a rookie quarterback. Rookie quarterbacks tend to, use their tight ends, their check down mates, so I really like Hunter Henry. One thing about that situation is as of right now, they really don't have many guys to sap targets. They're going to have to find out what's going on in the wide receiver room there too. So as it stands right now, Hunter Henry is a major, pass catching asset for the New England Patriots. So absolutely, he was a guy that even if you didn't mention, I was going to talk about. And somebody you asked me before about Komet, that's a similar situation. yeah, I'm not really worried about the rookie quarterback, even if it is Caleb Williams there. Rookie quarterbacks, I think, will use the tight end. So both of those guys I really like. And I know I talked about Komet before. Another guy who I think is very overlooked right here, very, very overlooked. My number one on this list is Dalton Schultz. He got that re-sign deal in Houston. I'm very excited to see what another year of continuity does for Dalton Schultz in Houston, and I really like him to be paired with CJ Stroud there. And another year of just stability. I think he gets better. He's not a spring chicken, but I think he's only 27, 28 years old himself. So Dalton Schultz, if you can get him at 27th overall, man, that's my starter. That's my dynasty play. That's my everything, right? Yeah, I really like Noah Fant. I think that if he finds the right team, he's a really good freak athlete. I think if he finds the right team in free agency, he can be a factor for your fantasy team. So another, guys down here, maybe maybe Dalton Schultz can be your number one. I'd give him that vote of confidence. But other than that, you're looking at kind of backups, your second string tight ends for dynasty. So yeah, Noah Fant, take a chance on him, because if he goes to the right landing spot, his value is going to come up, right? He might not be there at 31. Two other guys I wanted to mention who are not on the list, who I know this list came out and, before the free agency happened. So we talked about Juwan Johnson getting cut. Two guys that kind of benefited that aren't on this list is number one, Jonnu Smith. He just got signed by Miami. Jonnu Smith, man, I think he can make a case to be top 20, maybe even higher, top 18 by the time the season rolls around. And we'll see what happens in OTAs. A lot of coverage is taken by Tyreek and Waddle. So I think he has speed, and that's what Miami likes. And I think it's a great fit for Jonnu Smith. So I really like him. He's not on this list. And also Davis Allen from the Rams. We're not going to see Higbee probably to begin the year. Davis Allen, I know he's not a household name yet, but there was a game last year. He had a touchdown in week 14 versus Baltimore, a great defense. He had 4 catches for 50 yards and a touchdown in that week 14 game. And when we talk about dynasty, of course, youth is a big factor. He was a rookie last year, and I think he's definitely somebody who at the back end of your startup draft, if he's a free agent in dynasty, go pick him up, because he can have some value. And guess what? Higbee might, come back and shake that up. But if you have somebody who doesn't really care, or somebody who's enamored by the age, trade him at the beginning of the year when he hits, because I do think Davis Allen will hit at the beginning of the year.
Nice. So we've gone through now the tight end tiers, and there was a lot of value there in the later rounds that we've touched on here between Johnny and Brandon. So with that, I want to thank them for coming on the show, being part of this. We've now wrapped up our special, our series on the top players, and then by position and these tiers. But as we wrap up here, I want to give them the opportunity to talk a little bit about themselves and where you can find them. Starting with you, Johnny, where can people find you, and what kind of content are you putting out?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Johnny freaking F1. Give me a follow if you haven't already. You can find me here at the IDP Plus Ranking Show. I'm going to be dropping more podcasts with Nate and Brandon. We're going to look to make rankings of our own, with free agency included, with a lot of these rookies as we get closer to the draft. We'll be in these rankings too. So really fluid thing we got going on. This is more of a recap from last year, but I'm looking forward to bringing those rookies in and talking into 2024.
Nice. And Brandon, where can they find you?
Definitely check me out on all social media platforms at Brandon Lee TV for all the latest and the greatest. And definitely check out our content on IDP Plus as well, with the articles that really could take you to the next level in your fantasy rankings and trying to, get that championship under your belt. And definitely check out all the videos. And yeah, definitely looking forward to getting an eye on this next crop of talent. The combine just finished, and rookies can win you championships, as we've seen. So definitely keep tuning in for the latest.
There it is. You can find me on Twitter at Nate Cheat, generally posting about content creation. I do websites, and then I'm a huge Lions fan. So if you're looking for that kind of content, be sure to follow me. But follow the main account for IDP Plus at IDP_plus. Get all of our content, as well as go to idpplus.com and subscribe there. And also, don't forget, subscribe to the channel IDP Plus, and hit the little notification bell so that you get notified for every video that gets put out from us, and you don't miss a thing. With that, we will see you for the next video where we're going to get into, like Johnny said, rookie rankings, gearing up for the rookie draft. So these will be pre-draft rankings, so that if you have those early rookie drafts, that you can get something going and some knowledge going into those drafts. So with that, we will see you for the next show. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for watching this IDP Guys video. If you like this content and you want more fantasy football content, click here. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos to help you master your IDP league, click here to subscribe.